I'm a completely different comedian from before I had children.
Yeah.
And I think actually it's a really healthy And actually, I remember something you said when I very first met you.
Oh, God.
I gigged with you.
Yep.
You won't remember. It was no.
That's
It was
the
so
thing, isn't
sweet.
it?
No, it was
But
the
it's just
exact
that thing where
opposite
you're
of that. It was the
like,
exact opposite of that. It was a gig.
Hello,
a gig.
girl.
A place called. You know, comedy just.
Yeah.
So there was. It was so sweet. It was a charity gig. It was. I think a theatre called the Swan, in like Winchester or somewhere like that. Right.
Yeah.
And you were by far the biggest, it was your night. You were the headline comedian, and so much that fans were being brought back to meet you. There were two, and
Don't touch
shaking.
my leather. Yeah.
And someone said to you, "This isn't even a big gig to you, is it?" And so I think the gig is probably like 1,200. So for everyone else, it was really big.
Yeah.
And you said, "Yeah, a gig this size, my heartbeat doesn't change from being here talking to you to going on stage." And for someone who's like, body was having an absolute meltdown about gigs for 10 people, 15 people, to hear someone much further along talking about a physiological state and imagining how would that feel. And it's always like rung in my ears a bit, the person you are in the dressing room also being the person on stage and then not being a clique, where you're then the on-stage person. When I had a baby, I found that I was going to gigs and it felt like I didn't have skin on. The click that used to happen where like adrenaline took over and you coped and you just focused once on stage wasn't happening. I felt like a mum. I felt like a new mum. I felt like a mad woman. If I was tired, I felt like a tired woman. And I almost had to incorporate all of that into a new, honest way of performing.
Well, that's the great thing about stand-up though, isn't it? Because you suddenly, that becomes so fertile because you're recognising something. And then by talking about it, presumably, a lot of mums and dads have felt that at their work of that sort of not being able to concentrate. And
two things that I said before. Number one is that actually what was so great is no matter what was happening in your life, once you were on stage, it was just stage.
Yeah.
And it felt like a meditation retreat or something. And I'd come off stage feeling recharged by it and that gap. And the other thing I would have said was that I'm obsessed with comedy. I'm allowed to be obsessed with comedy. I'm allowed to be like, once I've got on that train and I'm on my way to my show, I'm just thinking about that. And it's sort of selfish, but that's it.
Yeah.
And both of those things aren't true anymore. But it is amazing about stand-up that wherever you are in your life, it's your work. Like it feeds into it. And as long as you're honest, people will listen to it.
I think the thing with stand-up is it takes a long time to become really good at it.
Yeah.
And then it's incredibly addictive to be good at it.
I'm getting better and feeling that...
But then the real world stuff is always on hold. And then you sort of have this sort of light switch moment, or you don't, where you suddenly go, I wonder if I fancy something else.
I'm grateful.
Did you always want to be a mum?
No.
Okay.
I mean, I was... Partly it was meeting my husband. My husband really wanted children, always has known he wanted to have a family. And I think I spent a long time thinking I'd been not a good parent or worried about it. It's massive.
Why?
Because you have to give them everything. And actually, I think that's probably what I was right about. When I was younger, I could feel the fact that I wanted and I wanted to, selfish is the wrong word because it makes it sound negative, but I wanted to focus on the things I wanted to focus on.
Right.
And that definitely lessened where I became aware of how much I wanted to give, actually. Yeah,
it's interesting when you sort of think about someone like Catherine Ryan, you kind of go, kind of incredible that she was able to be a mum and a stand-up, but kind of go through that kind of ascension period at the same time.
It's astonishing, and I didn't appreciate it at all when I was around her because I had no idea. So I remember there was a gig in Stratford-upon-Avon, they did like a hullabaloo for a couple of years, so those big outdoor tent gigs and all the venues, and Violet would have been... She could sit on our knees, but she was probably a year old. And Catherine would, pass Violet to someone, go on stage, smash it to such an extent. She's Catherine Ryan. It wasn't ever like, she never seemed like she was struggling. And then she'd take Violet and they'd go off and do something for the day. And then maybe after she'd gone to bed. But she was a single mum as well. And I find it astonishing. But also I think a lot of us who then had children thought it was going to be that we would be like Catherine.
Right,
I remember one gig where Violet was asleep in a car chair. So she'd got her out of the car. She'd left her at the side of the stage, went on again. She's Catherine, smashed it up, and then picked up her baby that the tech had been watching and went home.
Yeah.
So a lot of my friends who had kids before me, including myself, thought, well, that's what we'll do then. We won't cancel any gigs. We just gave ourselves this awful life. Violet was also, credit to Violet, a really good baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God, I can't imagine that. Though.
Yeah.
Imagine sort of doing your gig and your baby's there and you're like, oh God, what if they wake up? Like, can you imagine that? What do you do?
Well, that's it.
If it's your baby, I guess you have to pick up the baby, hold the baby, finish your set.
I've thought about when it was a choice between not gigging at all or having Albie, who's my second, strapped to me. I was just kept thinking, how could I make it funny? And I thought, you can't.
It's instantly funny, isn't it?
Do you think so? No, because I thought, it's like bringing my dog on. I'd be too worried that people in the audience would go, that's quite cruel. And I think that what you'd think is, well, just don't do the gig then. But I did a couple of gigs where Aisling had my baby. So I took the baby out of the harness and then went on stage. And that was nice because then, if it's 10 or 15 minutes and the baby wakes up, it's not the end of the world.
Yes.
And at that point it was, I just want to gig,
But I think also then it's sort of like you say about truth, because if your baby really was kicking off and you're in the middle of this set, you can go, hang on a minute, I've got to get my kid, is that all right? And then do you know what I mean? I think if it becomes part of the act, that's when it's tricksy, and the kid's like, I don't fucking want to do it.
You don't want to be in this,
like, come on, you've got to.
Yeah, it's after bedtime. It is interesting,
What's next? What's your next
okay, this is the last one.
Yep.
I think you'll like this.
Okay.
Introducing yourself on stage.
Okay, why do you like that? I don't introduce myself.
Oh, okay. I think you're missing out on something.
I have my friend Kumar Kamalagaran do it, and he really enjoys it.
Yeah, well, I'm not surprised because it's really fun.
Okay, so how do you do it?
Well, I just say my name. It's just a split second, and maybe this is a combination.
You just go Sara Pascoe. I refuse to believe.
Please. Good evening, everybody. I say, please welcome to the stage, Sara Pascoe. That's all I say. So what's that? 4 seconds long? But this is why I love it. It's the liminal space. So it's this moment between you're not yet performing, it hasn't started, but you're not yet you anymore. Whoever was just tired or down in a Diet Coke or thought, okay, I need to stop checking texts, it doesn't exist anymore. But you're not quite on stage yet. What I love, and this is the hard-earned thing, even if this venue is not full, I don't need to have a sold-out room. But it's the fact that they are there. They have come to see me on purpose. That's why I'm allowed to. It's not a gig. It's not. I'm not sort of auditioning for people to think I was good. They've come here for me, and there's the hush as the lights go down, and the fact that you can feel some people are excited to see you, and then it might be like just a woo, like a thing, and then there's some excitement, and then you say your own name, and then for free, you get this applause. You've done nothing. So there's two things that reason I love it. One of them is in that moment. It started on my last tour. I started going. My brain would go, I exist? Something about saying my own name.
If you said that out loud. The noise that would make, I am real.
No, but that is what it's like. It's this is actually happening. This is my life. This isn't like a fantasy from when I was a teenager. I say my name. They know who I mean because I am real, and you say it. And I think I appreciated it more after reading Alan Davies's book. Alan Davies has got a thing about, so his mum died when he was really young, and he talks about how the way your mum looks when you're toddling towards her, like arms outstretched, she's just so pleased it's you, her arms are there. He said the only thing that's similar is walking out on stage to an audience who've come to see you, and that made me like appreciate that moment of like, you've done nothing to deserve it, apart from maybe previously done some stuff that they liked or something someone else liked, so they've now come, and they are willing to give you this warmth to come on, which makes you good at what you do.
Absolutely.